guys, welcome to another episode of Fishing in the Midwest. I'm out here at the pond, just hooked into this nice, say 2.5 pounder right here. Good little bass. Got her on the Flickshake with a confetti. It's like a watermelon gold 4-inch finesse worm right there. That's a good bass actually. It's not bad. All spawned out. No red belly anymore. It's light pink. Good bass right there. Look at that. Oh man, what a nice fish. I'm gonna try to get back in the water, guys. She's been out for a little while, but get back to you guys once we catch some more. It's always good to revive your fish. Make sure she's not gonna roll over on her belly. Make sure she gets used to that water temperature. She's been out of the water for a while, so she has to get used to that water temperature. Get used to the less gravity. They live in a zero gravity world, basically, and they come into an area and they feel that pressure on their jaw, so it hurts. So be sure to always revive your largemouth when you catch one that's a pretty good size. There she goes. Beautiful catch. You know, before I get back to the fishing, I real quick want to go over how to rig the Flickshake. You know, it's one of those techniques that I can always trust in. I can always put my 100% trust in this rig up right here. You know, I can't always rely on catching big fish, but I can rely on it to give me a good limit. And that's how I placed third down in state in Springfield, Illinois. I was throwing this Flickshake. You know, it's a lot different from just weightless rigging a wacky rig worm or a stick bait. It's something a whole lot more than that. It's actually a different design hooked, believe it or not. It's actually got a very flat shank right there. So where the shank being the area where the hook enters the fish's mouth. And it's just one of those baits and one of those jig heads that never comes out of a fish's mouth, you know. I've never really popped a fish off on a Flickshake before after it's been hooked. I've missed hook sets before, and that's just my own fault, but I've never really lost a good fish on a Flickshake while it's been hooked. You know, never shaken when it's gotten the shoreline. I've actually tested it out and actually risked losing a good fish by changing directions of my rod, and still hasn't come out. Now what I've got right here is the Zappu Inch Wacky 1/16 ounce Flickshake right here. And what I like to do is I like to take a 4.8 size worm, 5-inch worm or a 4-inch worm, and just hook it like I would be wacky rigging it. But we're using worms that we normally use for like drop shot fishing or shaky head fishing. And I'm going to show you how to rig it. So we're going to have this little 4-inch finesse worm, 4.5-inch finesse worm right here. Usually used for drop shot fishing. And I'm just going to hook it right in the middle. As you can see, there's my jig head. And I'm just going to hook that bait right in the middle. I like to use a worm that's pretty durable so it doesn't fly off the hook often, you know, because it's going to fly off the hook. So I'll get like a pack of 20 of a bait that I know is very durable. You know, Outdoor Advantage makes hand pours, and their baits are very durable. So you've got a double plus right there. You've got a bait that has a lot of action, but also has a lot of durability in it. That fish felt like a 4-pounder. Man, probably not even 9 ounces. Look at that little dink. Look at that guy was hooked though. That's what a sweep hook set does. Try to avoid the sweep hook sets. Try to go right up with the lateral hook sets. Excuse me, the horizontal hook sets. That looks like a little chunky, tiny female, but hey, it's a fish. Now what I'm doing here when I'm using this lure is I'm trying to stay right off the bottom. What a lot of people do is work this bait off the bottom and twitch it mid-surface and let it sink right back and touch the bottom. And I feel that that's ruined the whole purpose of a Flickshake. The whole purpose of a Flickshake is to suspend right in that fish, right in front of that fish. So what I like to do is I like to cast, you know, wait until it hits the bottom, but once I make sure it hits the bottom, I give it a good, really good pop, so I know it's at mid-level or close to mid-level. And then I'll start reeling in my slack, shaking it. There's one right there. Oh, that's a good fish, guys. see if I can get that one back on hook. See, it's a perfect example of how that flick shake works. I was slightly moving it. That was a good fish right there too. But what I was saying earlier was you want to maintain middle depth. In other words, you want to keep that bait right in the middle of the water column. And if there's a fish by cover, they'll see it and they'll pick it up. Especially during the summertime, fish really don't hang around the bottom. And especially in early summertime, they really don't hang that close to the surface, depending on where you live. Here in Illinois, that's how it works. So this bait is just absolute dynamite when you're fishing it right in front of those fish's faces. You know, whether it be a good fish, 12-incher, or even a really nice bass, you know, ranging from 18 to 20 inches. When I'm throwing this rig up, I want to throw 8-pound test. Same stuff I throw for drop shot, usually fluorocarbon, because I want to maintain the finesse capability in order to hook those fish, spook right up on them. I don't want to chase them away. I want to get right up on them so they don't know what's coming at them. And I like to use a pretty big rod for this. Normally guys will use like a Senko rod, like a 7-foot or 6.5-foot rod. I like a 7'3" rod. The reason being is I like to throw flick shakes in just about any cover I can find. I like to throw it in lily pads, brush piles, laydowns, anything where there's bass. Because this bait is in some cases like a jig, where as soon as it drops, the fish are on it. It's like a Senko, and it's a killer bait. So I want to make sure I've got a heavy rod that withstands, you know, pulling fish out of good cover. The reel I like to use is just a regular Stratic, Shimano Stratic CI4, and a 2500 size reel, which fits my 8-pound line capacity. And what I'm looking for is for really key areas, you know, areas where there's an isolated lily pad in the early summer, late spring, isolated lily pads, isolated brush piles, very key areas where it's like, oh, there's got to be a fish there. So, you know, you just throw it right in there, and occasionally you'll get a good hit, and most of the time they'll tap at it and they'll start dragging it away.